Hello, how are you tonight?
Good, and you?
It's fine. Ron, are you there? Can you hear me? It's Rhea.
Yes,
Hello? Hey, Ron, did you get Mike Reichert's message
I
about the
did.
water truck?
I did, and I'm planning on meeting him
Okay,
tomorrow.
okay, great. Where are you? It doesn't look like you're in Nederland. Are you?
That is a phony backdrop to hide my messy office.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, the annual plants they got delivered today and they look awesome. So,
Good.
yeah.
Well, I'll meet with him tomorrow and get him lined out on the truck and
Okay.
kind of a schedule with my guys so they don't interfere.
Okay.
I'm not
Great.
sure when he wants to water, but we'll work out a schedule.
Yeah, I know he's gonna start planting on Thursday, so I just coordinate with him. Okay, good.
Definitely. Well, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's hoping to start tomorrow afternoon. I think.
Ooh,
When I
okay.
talked to
Well,
him.
I'll try and get there by noon.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's not gonna get it all done in one day, but okay, sounds good.
Hi, it's Miranda. Sorry, I had someone in my office, and so I was multitasking, but I am here. Hey, did you want me to share my screen with the agenda, or would you like to share yours? What's your preference here?
Would you mind sharing with yours?
Yeah, no, not at all. I was going to get it ready if that was, I normally do, so happy to.
Well, I very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good evening. Rhea, can you hear me? We can hear you, Brent.
All right,
Yes.
perfect. Sorry, I thought didn't scroll down far enough, so I was 6 o'clock and I'm like, nobody's on yet. So, all right, who do we have?
Hi, all.
Looks like we have quite a few people today, so that's great. It's better than I thought. All right, I'll give it 30 more seconds and then we'll start. How's that?
Is Steve not going to be at the meeting tonight?
Steve is not. He's traveling, so you're stuck with me for
Oh,
the
okay.
last time.
All right.
So, yeah.
Your last hurrah.
My
being
last
here.
hurrah. He conned me into it. Said that was what I signed up for somehow. I don't know. So you're stuck with me, but I guarantee you we're not going to be here for 3 hours.
I know you're.
There's my promise. There's my promise right there.
I
This is not
appreciate
gonna
that
be a
about you,
3-hour
that you're
meeting.
quick and efficient in our meetings, which is great.
Yes, I at least tried to do that in the past. We're going to do it tonight.
So
Looks like
I
we're
see,
good.
okay, you've got 5, I believe you've got quorum, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think we'll call it here in
Yeah.
just a second. Is Kate on? I can't see.
Yes, she
I
is.
am.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, then I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:02 or whatever it is. And Kate, could you do a roll call of our board?
I will do that.
Thank you.
All right. We have the chair, Steve Carew, not here.
Is excused absence, I would call it, or whatever.
Yes. And then we have Vice Chair Brent Tergaskis.
Here.
And we have Claudia Shuffler. None. And I apologize.
I talked to her. I think she was planning on being at the meeting, so maybe she's just running late.
Yeah, and I thought I got that impression as well, that she was going to join us. And I apologize if I say your names wrong. Please just correct me. And then we have Rhea Orther.
Rhea Ortner, yep. H is silent, thank you.
And then Karina Lusher. Now I'm going to mess everybody's name up.
It's Lucier, and I'm here.
And Barb Hart.
I am here.
Andrew DeWart. Ron Mitchell.
Here.
And that's all.
Okay, so we have a quorum. So let's move right on to the consent agenda. And I'd like to call for the approval of May warrants. Anybody had a chance to look at that? Can I get a motion to approve them?
So did warrants get sent out separate? It's Miranda. Did warrants get sent out separately in an email? Because I don't know, they weren't included in the agenda packet, so I'm not sure if everyone's
We
seen
have,
them.
we have one invoice from JVA, and with no new signature cards and Hope out of town, that invoice is languishing until we can get our signature cards in order.
Okay, so that sounds like you guys can just take care of any warrants in May that do come through. You could just include in June.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then Ron, since we're on that, is there anything like that I need to do in signing at the bank or to get off of the thing, or does anybody else need to do anything there for you to keep things moving?
Yes. The bank wants the old signers to sign out
Okay.
and the new signers to sign in. So I am collecting those signatures as soon as we elect our new officers, which will be next month.
Okay. All right. So nothing I need to do this week.
No,
anybody
are
else?
you still a signer on the account?
I have a feeling I am, even though I haven't signed anything in a while.
I will check and find out and make sure
Okay.
who I need to
Yeah.
sign what.
Okay. All right. And then let's call for approval of the May minutes.
I
Those were in
also
here.
don't believe that those, I don't know, those were, unless they were sent to the board separately, they'll have to likely be done in July.
Yeah, I did not see them in my packet that I just printed here.
Does anyone know though, did Hope complete those? I think there may be a need to reach out to her to see what the status is of those.
So the issue with this, and I apologize, I meant to make a note of this. The Gmail account was only able to get into here and there because you have to keep getting approval codes, and it was still going to Hope. And so we were finally able to fix that just today. And so I haven't been able to get into the Google Drive to see if she was able to complete them, and reach out about that, or just complete them myself with the video the recording is my plan.
Okay, so we'll just postpone that until July's meeting as well.
Okay.
And hopefully, Kate, you can get those from May so we can include them in next month's packet.
Yes.
That would be great. And then Miranda, was that you?
No, sorry, I think there's just some feedback.
Okay. So let's go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to action items. Number 5 on the agenda. So the exciting time of year for us is now, where we have a couple new potential appointees to join the NDDA, and certainly we want to get that part of it done tonight. It does sound like we have 2 openings and 2 candidates, so that's kind of the perfect scenario. We have Danielle Kraus and Steve Roundtree. Kyle Busey has decided to drop out of the running. So I think that's good news. And I do think, just from a meet and greet standpoint, it would be great, Danielle and Steve, for you to just say a couple words to the board quickly and just introduce yourself and tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself and why you want to do this. And that would be, we can get through that pretty quick, but we really appreciate you guys volunteering to do this on a volunteer, board, and that says a lot about you just in your own context. So Danielle, we'll start with you. If you can unmute yourself and just speak to us real quick, nothing formal, just say hello and who you are, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll keep moving.
Hi, my name's Danielle. I have my business, DMC Artwork, at the Kathmandu Plaza here in town, and it is Nederland Healing Arts Studio. I share it with an acupuncturist and a massage therapist. A couple years ago, I had been thinking that since I don't have a family to be caring for, it's just my partner and I in Eldora, that it would make sense that I start becoming a little bit more political and involved in my community where applicable. Since then, I've been helping with Nederland Public Art and getting that up and going. And through that, came across this opportunity to potentially be involved with NDDA as the view of an artist here in town and bringing more creativity to the idea and having more of a voice being present for us artists. That's about it.
That's awesome. Do you have any questions from the board that you would like to ask about what you're getting yourself into? Anything we could answer for you?
Well, from what I understand, it's about, the meetings are once a month, and I can put extra time into projects that I think are something that I can put forth effort into, clarify, but mainly I think I'll be learning a lot. Kind of a novice here and trying to give my energy to you guys. So I can't really think of any questions that I do have other than should I run away from it? But here I am.
No, it's fun. It's worthwhile. I've been on the board for the last 5 years, and it's really been rewarding. And we've got a lot of good projects, finally moving forward, and a kind of an exciting time to see us. We actually, the good news about the NDDA is we do have a funding mechanism that's kept us, being able to help the town on some special projects and things like public art and keeping flowers and just improving some roads and sidewalks and parking and a lot of things like that that are already kind of in the queue. So we're excited about the future. I think it'll be very excited to see the next couple years the kinds of things we get done. So
I
happy to have
agree.
willing
Yeah.
to join. So it's a good positive time to join, and we appreciate you being willing to learn and volunteer and be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And with that, I'll do the same thing with Steve Roundtree. Steve, if you want to say a few words.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Steve Roundtree. I'm the Director of Business Operations at Eldora. I think I've met many of you, but not all of you. I've lived in Boulder County for the past 13 years and worked up at Eldora for that entire time, pretty much. I'm an avid skier and cyclist. And, in the time that I've been up at Eldora, experienced many changes up there. And I'd like to think I've helped create major improvements in Eldora's operations and infrastructure. I also think that a healthy relationship between Eldora and the local business community is a positive. And that if Nederland has a healthy and thriving community, it helps Eldora and vice versa. And I think Brent has been a big part of really opening up the communication between Eldora and the local community. And Hunter has also done a similar thing through the sustainability side of things. I look forward to having an opportunity to continue that relationship and try to drive shared success.
Great. So does anybody on the board have a question for either one of the candidates that you would like to ask before we move to the vote to approve?
I have a question. This is Rhea. I have a pretty good sense of Danielle's interests in the board with art. But Steve, I'm wondering about you. Like, are there any particular projects that you'd like to be involved in, considering, when I first interviewed for the DDA, I guess I was kind of clueless and I didn't really realize we have all these subcommittees and we're supposed to be working on stuff between meetings. And I was wondering if you had a particular interest in working on something.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some of within the last year, I moved to Nederland and I live on First Street. And I've heard about some of the potential development and changes in the kind of the business corridor of First Street. I think that that area in particular is really interesting to me. And I honestly think that a welcoming and thriving business community is good for my role at Eldora, as well as my personal involvement with Nederland. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome.
Hi, Steve. This
Thank
is
you.
Andrew Stewart. I guess I just was hoping you could expand on that a little bit more. So would you see an involvement more related to infrastructure and development or public art or all of it? Are you aware of all the committees that the subcommittees that the DDA's got going on?
I'm aware of I've got a copy of the overall plan, and I've looked through it. I kind of bring up that First Street component because of it looks like some longer term potential infrastructure upgrades, and looking at pedestrian flow and some things like that. I would say I'm not the person that anyone would look to as an expert in art. But I think, infrastructure, and really anything that comes in front of the board that feels like an area where I could leverage some of my experience at Eldora and other work experience that I have.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll jump in just to kind of keep things moving. And certainly, like from my perspective, I've been on the board now, like I said, for 5 years. And I felt it was important to have somebody from the mountain, involved in the political world of Nederland to the extent that we can. And it seemed like a great opportunity. And Steve and I spoke about this, and he's willing to put in the time and energy to continue to have a good relationship. And, I think the scary is such an important part economically to the winter economy in particular, that it's key that we have a spot at the table, so to speak, and continue to make improvements to the community. So for him to want to step up, it kind of made my decision a little bit easier about finally growing off the board, of which most of you, I think, are knowing that myself and Claudia are the ones that are not running again this time. And I feel very comfortable having Steve, whose office is about 15 feet from mine, on the board. And I think that's a good continuity thing for us. So does anybody else have any questions? If not, I'll call for a vote to appoint the two candidates that have, submitted their application. And if anybody has anything else?
Just a point of clarification, Brent, this is Karen.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing is you're going to vote on approving to recommend the two
Yes,
candidates to the Board of Trustees.
that's
Thanks.
correct. Okay, so can I get a motion from someone other than me?
I make a
to do
motion
that?
that we approve both Danielle Kraus and Steve Roundtree. Did I say that right? To forward to the Board of Trustees for appointment to the DDA.
Second the motion.
Second or third.
Aye.
Okay, any other discussion?
You'll want to do a roll call vote because it's virtual. So Kate, you'll want to run through the list.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Kate, can you run through and just go starting with me or whatever and run through like you did before?
You might be.
Sorry, I've been muted. I'm going to run through a roll call based on who's on my screen right now, and we'll start with the chair or the vice chair, Brett Tergasisk.
Yes.
I'm having trouble tonight. Rhea Ortner,
Ortner, yes.
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Karina Lusher,
Lucier, yes.
Sure. Barbara Hart,
Yes?
John Starr, or oh wait, you're a guest. Sorry,
Ron Mitchell.
Here, going through Ron Mitchell.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm scrolling
And
through to find
Jonathan is
everybody's
not
name.
on, right? I have not seen Jonathan.
No, he's not. I'm just scrolling through. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I don't think I am.
I think you got it.
I think I got everybody. I just wanted to check and make sure. All right.
Did you do Andrew?
Oh,
Andrew,
no.
yes. Oh, I thought I did. Andrew.
Yeah,
Duarte.
you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So thanks unanimously. We take your names, and you guys should be at the next BOT board meeting, which I can't remember, Miranda or Karen, when is that? Where they should speak.
Yeah, it's June 15th, next Tuesday, and they both have already received an email and an invite for that, where you should have.
Okay. Great. Okay. Well, congratulations. That's the first step. you know, a lot of what we do, we are basically kind of a subcommittee of the town. So we don't have total authority on a lot of different things. And there's a lot of things that we have to run through the town as just from a legal perspective, because we're part of very much married to the town, but when we have some autonomy, but a lot of things like this get run through the board of trustees and for final approval on you know, positions and how we spend money and things like that. So they do most of what we say. So it's all good, but welcome aboard. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along, we'll go to 5.2, which is the investment policy update. I did see, Ron, you can speak to this. I saw a note in the packet, but it didn't really look like, I want you to explain it because I wasn't sure that it's something we can really vote on or not. But go ahead.
Yeah, sure, we can vote on it. It's a resolution to include in our investment policy the concept that we will not invest in oil stocks or anything that has to do with the military procurement. And we can sort of put that in the preamble, and I move that we do so.
So I think it's Miranda, I think the only concern might be that there isn't a resolution for the DDA to vote on. And my recommendation would be to bring this back so that you're actually seeing it in the document itself and voting on the language and not just.
Be quite willing to do that.
Okay.
And I
The
will
other
craft
thing, the other thing, Ron, is that the board did ask for more details about how the process works, how the decision is made, on what investments, when to invest, that sort of thing. So you were going to just put something pretty brief together that just sort of describes the process, you know, which basically, I'm guessing your finance team comes up with some recommendations, you bring them to your board approves them, and then you bring them to the board of trustees. And I know that this is somewhat addressed in your policy, but that seemed to be a point of clarity that the board of trustees was looking for.
All right.
Yeah.
That's not done at this point, but I will do it.
Yeah. So Ron, I would echo what they just said from the town perspective. I think it's clear. I don't think anyone of us has a problem with the, you know, limitations of not investing in oil or gas or military investments. I don't think that's a problem. I think it's just clarifying the language, and maybe between you and Kate and you know, Karen or Miranda, you can get that a little more lined out for next month, and we can make it a true action item and keep advancing the ball.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can work with Ron. This is Kate to get that done between the meetings.
Okay, that would be great. So no more action there. And then the next is, so we can move right to the meeting frequency. Ron, I think that was under discussion items. Is there anybody from the public that also wants to talk about any other discussion items? Okay, hearing none, let's move to meeting frequency. Ron, you had a statement in the packet about meeting frequency, and certainly I mean, I'm sensitive to everyone's time. I mean, being on the board myself for the last 5 years, I would just make kind of an opening, you know, this is good dialogue to have, because, you know, as volunteers, you know, once a month sometimes comes too often, and twice a month might seem like too many times, but it is also sometimes we have more to do than you would think. And a lot of our agendas have been, you know, very in depth, and we've had so many issues and so many things to talk about that some of the meetings go a little bit long. And so I would just open it with that. And Ron, since you are the one that put this on, can you give us your perspective as the treasurer?
Well, you just gave it, and thank you, Brent. The fact is that I feel it's hard for me to have meetings in the evenings. I don't know about others. When the DDA started, we had breakfast meetings and moved around from restaurant to restaurant. And doing so, that way people could bring their breakfast, or they could have it at the restaurant. Didn't matter. The restaurants usually opened and they really didn't make money, and some of them didn't even want to serve, and they didn't. But we could have maximum hour and a half meeting from 7 to 8:30, and it worked very well. And we got business done because we had our agendas ready, and it was easier because many things come up. We've had 2 or 3 issues come up in the last month, and along with the change of our executive director. So I would like to have us at least try this for a couple of months to see if it works for everybody. And it might not work for some, and but we could alternate maybe because there are just so many things that need to be voted on and passed by the board that might appear to be small, but when they all stack up, we end up with a 3-hour meeting, and that's not really what we want. We want to try and keep our meetings succinct and all to the point. And if we put an hour and a half limit on it, we did it. And I would like to do it again. So that's my reason for bringing it forward. I'd like to see if you all would be willing to try it as a test. We don't have to say it's absolute. I would like to just try it for a month and see what happens. Comments?
Okay, so I would just echo, this is in the discussion item, so we're not voting on this right now necessarily unless we move it to an action item. But I am curious to hear from the 5 board members we have on now, as well as the potential new people, what your opinion would be, because we have to value that, I think, at this point. And since I'm not going to be on the board, I kind of I'll won't bother sharing my opinion beyond what I already did. I think there's some months we need more time and some months we don't, and it's a significant change from normal, but it doesn't mean what we've been doing in the past is what we should be doing, would be my comment. So I'm open to whatever the new board would like to do. So with that, let's go to Rhea. Why don't you chime in?
Ron, thanks for bringing this up. I have to say I'm a firm no on that. I've pretty much planned my professional life around knowing I have meetings in the evenings these days. I get up quite early and it's a good time for me to get work done, but also this time, especially, I have to do field work. I just can't do it. I would have to say, if we feel like we need to meet more frequently, certain times of the year, wouldn't it be possible to call a special meeting and then just do out a simple meeting poll to see when we can all meet, or at least a quorum can meet to decide on something? Otherwise, I have this pretty firmly in my schedule for the second Wednesday of the month, and I would prefer not to change it.
Okay, fair enough. Who else? So we heard from Ron.
This is Karina here. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Karina.
I'm just gonna second what Rhea said. I'm kind of struggling to keep my head above water on the board as it is, with everything, really like the floodgates opening at Salto and Tinshed. And so I'm a firm no. I can't add another day, and mornings are definitely out because I own a coffee bar. So, but I also think it'd be really nice to call a special meeting if we need to get stuff done and we can't do it within the time frame of our regular scheduled meetings, because the meetings, they have gone incredibly long at times, and in my opinion, unnecessarily so, and it's taxing. So I'm all for figuring out a way to get through our agenda items and things we need to do in a more efficient way. But I don't think that adding another meeting in the month I'm not a fan of it.
Okay. All right, Andrew, you want to chime in?
Yeah. I see both sides of the coin here, and I'm not an immediate no. I am an immediate no to early in the morning. One thought that I had, is yes, if we see things in the pipeline that look like the upcoming month is going to have a heavy meeting that would drag on until 9:30 at night, that calling for a special meeting, maybe in the early afternoon, mid-afternoon. For me personally, because my mornings are always jamming and stretched tight. And I don't know if there's a way to necessarily have a condensed meeting that only addresses kind of, I know it's all integral, but to just check in with subcommittees. One thing that I've noticed or seen is that, a lot of time goes by in a month where there's not necessarily feedback, and because of sunshine laws, I've noticed it's kind of difficult for all of us to communicate, unless we're having a meeting. So I think maybe I'm opposed to first AM meetings. I'm not opposed to special meetings, but I do think it would benefit us as a group to look down the pipeline of subcommittees and projects, and probably allocate some bi-monthly meetings at certain times so we can avoid those 9:30, everybody's crispy. I mean, I've got kids upstairs right now that, I'd love to be hanging out with. So evenings are kind of tougher for me, but that's my take, is that I think a special meeting, if we were looking at a big agenda, I'd be open to, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'd point out, as Karen pointed out in the chat, we can always call a special meeting and we can have special work sessions and get around it, but it's big commitment on your guys' part to be volunteering in the first place. So Barbara, let's hear from you quickly. And I also would like to hear from Kate, our new, administrator, who's, obviously has a lot to say about that. So Barbara.
I don't have a problem with adding a meeting. And I've actually suggested that a few times, that it would be better if we met more often, but I understand time constraints. Mornings don't work for me because, like several other people on the board, I have kids that are in school, and once school goes back in, it's not possible for me to be somewhere at 7 o'clock. That said, I could be somewhere at 9 o'clock. School starts at 8:30. So I think that we do need to have more meetings than we are, but I don't know if it has to be a regular thing. I think it could be once a quarter we could have an extra meeting that we could address things, or if something comes up, just like we did with the COVID funding and stuff, then we do have a special meeting. So I'm not really for adding it on a regular basis, but I'm not against having more meetings. I think that we wait way too long for answers to things because we only meet once a month.
Yeah. Okay. And Kate, do you want to chime in and then we can keep moving?
Sure. So as I've said this to everyone, I'm really open to what the board wants. And in hearing from each of you, though, I do see that utilizing special meetings and work sessions could be an effective way to focus ourselves on certain priorities and targets and knock them out in certain ways. I think there's ways that we could utilize those to get some of the things done so that we don't have to wait as long. But then, some of the meetings would be more going through other process. So I think there's a lot that we can do to kind of meet in the middle, if that's what people, and I'm kind of hearing that from a lot of people. So I'm very flexible and open to whatever, and I'm a morning person, so I'm always okay with mornings, but I'm hearing that doesn't kind of seem to work for a lot of people. So the evenings are also fine with me. I can make whatever work that works for everybody else.
Okay, so I'll jump in just on to close things up. I know you two new people that aren't quite on the board yet. Danielle and Steve, I think what you guys can have that discussion once you're officially on the board here next month, hopefully, and we can keep moving for tonight. It sounds like, Ron, no one's like super excited about that, and it's not an action item tonight anyway. So I'd like to keep moving. So, but you got some pretty good feedback. And I think
Well,
that
one
was
of the things I'd like
today.
to see then, if there was an afternoon that we could schedule just work sessions.
Yeah.
I have now had to call everybody 3 different times to get information or particularly when there was something needed to be done. That's a lot of work for one person to call each one individual and talk about it because of the sunshine law. So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
I really think we need to move quickly and more often. I don't care what time of day it is. I just want to see us be much more efficient than we are, and we're not very efficient with a once a month meeting.
Yeah.
This is Rhea. If I could just interrupt. In the past, there is discussion about being able to have email communications among the whole board in a public forum where anybody from the public can see what we're talking about. That would be open and the sunshine laws wouldn't apply. And I forget if it was some kind of listserv or some kind of something where we could have some of these conversations and it be open to the public. And I guess I would ask Karen and Miranda if they even know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about, and the city of Boulder did this. The thing is it does require somebody kind of monitoring it, establishing it, that sort of thing. Miranda, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say the exact same thing. I know we talked about it. I guess my ask would be to just let us look into it a little bit further. I just want to make sure there's nothing that we're missing in terms of the sunshine compliance. And so perhaps if this could come back before the board in July and we'll have more details for you about how we can maybe make that type of listserv chat system work.
That really appeals to me. I like that idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we
Well,
can
you guys
research it and work with Kate too.
Yep. Okay. That sounds great. This was a discussion item only anyway, so let's keep moving. And next we have under the agenda, the chair report. And I'm assuming all of you have read Steve's statement here, but Steve couldn't be with us. He's out traveling with his family. And so he wrote kind of his last report as the chairman. And did anybody read that, or would you like me to read it? Or do you just want to read it later? Anybody have an opinion? I would just then ask you to read it. It's just short. It's just a one-page deal. There isn't much, he's welcoming Kate and thanking Claudia and myself. And obviously you guys get to vote for a new chair and vice chair here next month. So there'll be some behind the scenes stuff there. And, I would certainly just be on the record of thanking Steve for what he did. I know as a past chair, it is a lot of work to be the chairperson and getting organized. I think it's a really good time for him to step down and myself to step down because we have a new, director, meaning Kate, and Karen's leaving the town here pretty soon. And so it just kind of seemed like a good opportunity or good timing to kind of reset our board. And I would thank Steve for all that he's done over the years to step up when I stepped down as the chair. And he's been great to deal with, and he's got a lot of hours into it. But I think we've gotten a lot more done in the last couple of years than we had before. So I'd like to thank him personally and professionally, and read his report if you'd like, and then we can move to the town report. So let's keep moving. And Karen, I think between you and Miranda, you get to go.
Sure. I'll go ahead and get started. So good news regarding the Big Springs egress. Most of you who've been around a while know that we have identified the need for an emergency egress out of the Big Springs area. And the last 4 years since I've been involved, we were able to get a design in place based on a route on the Doe Trail that was vetted by the community. We got the Boulder County Commissioners to approve it with conditions. We got the United States Forest Service to allow us to go through their property. There's still some vetting going on with it as far as the best way to actually enter the trail to have the least amount of impact on the wetlands. So I'd say the first 10% of the trail is still being decided. with a group of people. The ProSab chairperson, Jesse Ansari, is in that team. But the good news is that we've never been able to identify any funding for it. And, likely it's going to cost around $750,000. And the good news is that Congressman Joe Neguse has identified it. We sent in a request for funding. He's identified it as one of his top 10 projects that he would like to see funded at the federal level. And so we also requested funding through Senator Bennett's team, which we were recommended to do that because if you have both the Congress and the Senate pushing for you, you have a better chance. And then, of course, we let Senator Hickenlooper's team know as well that we were interested in the funding. So there's a chance that we might be able to actually start working on that project that has been in the works for about 20 years now. I also want to just update you for those of you who might not know with the town administrator hiring status that the Board of Trustees in a public meeting chose Miranda Fisher, our deputy town administrator, town clerk, to be the next town administrator. We're still working with the mayor on exactly what that transition time is going to look like. Both Miranda and Rita, who is also on this call, our town treasurer, are working very closely with me, and we are building a plan for what the next 12 weeks will look like and what are the priority things that we're going to be working on, such as our audit, which needs to be completed and posted by July 30th, getting our 2022 budget started up and running, and some other projects that will either be wrapping up or passing off onto others. So that's looking very good, and just big congratulations to Miranda. She's really earned it. I think you all know what a great support she's been to the DDA, and that's been true for all the boards and commissions as well as the businesses. So congratulations, Miranda, one more time.
Yeah, I can't echo that same sentiment because she's been awesome. I mean, I can absolutely echo what Karen just said. Miranda, you've been great for our board here, and congratulations on behalf of the DDA board for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to support the town in this new role. So it'll be great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Miranda.
And then I do want to point out that Mountain Community Healthcare Task Force that I'm on, where we're looking at potentially bringing a community health clinic up to the peak-to-peak region, somewhere between like the Central City, Nederland area is what we're looking at. They are actually doing a survey right now of the general public. So I really ask you to please go on and take the survey, because we're really trying to gauge the need and whether or not people would actually use it if there was a clinic up here. So please do that when you get a chance. As far as the pandemic goes, I think everybody knows the numbers are looking really good. Boulder County is doing an outstanding job in the number of vaccinations, where we're at, I believe now, over 70% of all eligible people, and that includes the youth. So, because we were already past that, but then once they opened it up to the youngsters, then of course we had a whole new group, a demographic that added to the eligibility list, but looking really super good. And the other thing is we are going to continue to do testing in Nederland. Right now we're scheduled to go through September 30th. Now, potentially that could change if the interest were to wane and we just didn't have that much of a turnout. So we'll see how that goes. As far as vaccination clinics go, that will just be dependent upon sort of the need. But things are definitely looking super good that way. And Miranda, do you want to take over from there?
Yes, and see what was next. Okay, so proclamations. Just just an FYI that in May, I know we're past it, it was proclaimed as Older Adults Month, and in June The Board of Trustees proclaimed it as LGBTQ plus month. And so those are always great things to do. And I'm glad it's a focus of the Board of Trustees. So wanted to share that. In Vision 2030, we're moving along and getting closer. We've finalized the vision statements and plan to present those to the Board of Trustees on June 15th for feedback. If you recall, throughout April, we were doing a really heavy push to get feedback from the community on the vision statement goals and objectives, and 92 people participated. When combined with the SWOT analysis that we did back in December, we're looking at just shy of 200 people who have participated in the process so far. So that's been great for that community feedback. Special events, we are getting tons of applications. You know, people are ready to try to go back to something normal of sorts. And so be on the lookout. There's the 4th of July parade and celebration. The organizers are asking if any businesses want to be involved to contact their team. And I am happy to get you in touch with them if you want to have like a float or parade. And I know Salto and Tin Shed are a big part of that. So Karina, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with the team, and we're excited to bring that back. We also have indoor soccer camps coming up, a couple of bike races, and then foot run races. Again, we still have farmers market. We brought back, there's yoga in the park again, which was a big thing last year. So we're just excited to see all the ways in which people are interested in using our public facilities and open spaces to have meaningful events, and they're taking all necessary precautions. And we're just looking forward to continuing to work with these organizers to make a really effective and happy and fun events for our community. I just put public works updates typically in these for you to review. By no means am I the expert. So the ask would be if there's any questions to connect directly with Chris. But just think it's nice for you all to know what's happening with the grants, especially the ones that the DDA has supported with funding. So that's in the packet here as well for you to take a look at.
Awesome. Well, good job, you guys. Is that, yeah, we can read the rest of it on the
Yep.
visitor
That's
center and library and everything else. So yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. And congratulations again, Miranda. I think that's great news, and I appreciate everything you've done for us so far. And there's just more to come.
Yes.
You guys have always kept us in check and kept us legal and make sure we don't make any mistakes. And we appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it's been great to have that close of a relationship. Okay, moving right along, let's go to the fire marshal report. I think I saw Rick on here, right? Yeah, Rick Hendrickson, are you on?
I am on.
Awesome.
And
Go ahead.
I know it just got out into the packet, so I don't know if you had a chance to read it. But basically, it just lists what we did in 2020 with some comparisons to 2019, basically COVID and pre-COVID as far as the activity. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think I'll go through that. But interesting, even with COVID, I still kept plenty busy. We had a lot of construction going on. We were working towards fire code adoption, and of some buildings that were in progress that we continued to do the construction inspections on to keep all of those moving along. And now that we're seem to be getting out of COVID for 21, we're picking up the routine inspections more. And we're also starting to look for somebody part-time to do more of the routine inspections as I cut back my hours. Although that's not really in the report, that's just for your own information here coming up. Also listed a bunch of the other things I do in town. A lot of it's working with town staff, with Miranda just mentioned, with all these special events going on, attending a lot of these meetings, and just a lot of different involvement in town. That's kind of the high points there. I continue to think it's been a really valuable position to add to the department here. I think for the most part, I've had really good response from the businesses in town. I know there's been a couple that had a little frustration, but there were a few buildings with some very old problems that were pretty unsafe. And I think we've gotten a lot of that corrected, which I think is really good for everyone. A lot of good safety improvements. So if anybody's had a chance, do you have any questions about it?
No, Rick, I would just jump in and say thank you. Thanks for putting this report together and for everything you've done. I think so the newcomers on the board that are potentially coming on, you know, we do take a small portion of our revenue and help fund a little bit of the Nederland Fire Protection District. And a lot of that has been, like Rick mentioned, kind of in the context of doing, you know, a lot of pre-work and making sure that inspections happen and that we do have a lot of old buildings. And I think even though it's cost some of us some money, we're creating a safer environment for our community. And I think it's been a step in the right direction for what that's worth, and something I hope we continue to do. So thanks, Rick, for your help.
Oh, thank you. And one point that I realized the other day is that although it's cost some businesses some money, primarily when I first started a couple of years ago with some electrical work, because a lot of the buildings up here weren't designed for as many electrical appliances as we have now. Most of that money has gone to local electricians and local contractors to do the work. So some businesses have, yes, had to spend some money, but a lot of that money has stayed in the community.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so thanks for that, Rick. And then we are on records pace here, and I don't want to mess it up, but I don't see Kate's name on here from our executive director's report. So I don't know, Kate, if you have anything you want to chime in, now would be the time.
I do. I do want to. Rick does have a funding request that we weren't able to get into the packet that I believe Miranda said I can email to you all. And then we will need to get a nod of 4 to see if we can bring it back as an action item in July. That's the first.
And actually, yeah, you could verbally do that right now. Obviously, you can't make decisions because it's informational, but we just want support from the board to bring back the resolution for funding for this position.
This is Rick Hendrickson again, and this is something, both of these should have been done the end of last year, but we kind of all forgot with COVID and everything, and Hope reminded us at the last meeting. So kind of got that put together quickly here. Unfortunately, Chief Durr's been on vacation for a couple weeks and didn't get a couple needed points from him on the exact amounts and such, but we can certainly have that by July.
So Miranda, what do we need to do tonight?
Really just a nod of 4. We just need board support to bring that back as an action item at the upcoming. So if anyone is opposed to speak up, otherwise that seems to be the easiest way to do that. So is anyone opposed to us doing that?
Do we have the financial breakdown of how that money was spent since we went from 90 inspections to 27?
Some of that's in his report, not exactly to the money, but some of the other projects that they have done. Did you look at that, Barbara?
I did see that. I'm just if what we are specifically funding was the inspections, which was my understanding a year and a half ago when I joined the DDA. I'm just wondering if we can get the full financial breakdown of how that money was spent. I understand that the fire marshal did other jobs as well, but I'm just asking if we can have that financial breakdown before we go any further with it for next year.
I'm not sure.
I have a comment here. With some of our projects, particularly the parking one, we are probably severely underfunded with the very rapid increase in material costs. So we really have to look at our budget and see where we stand in terms of our existing commitments for projects that are on the books, because there's 2 or 3 of them that are going to be severely underfunded.
No, that's a good point to bring up. And Rick, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, that amount basically covers about half of my base salary. And with all of the work, inspections was what I started doing, and now as my skills and experience have increased, I'm doing a lot more of the plan review and working on the construction inspections, and that is all. The vast majority of that is all in the DDA area. So I don't know if there's a specific breakdown that we could give anybody other than it's basically covers half of the salary.
Okay,
So Rick, probably for next month, it would be a good idea to have just a little bit more detail. So when
Okay.
the board's talking about that and
Sure.
trying to make a decision, that would be very helpful information, I would think.
Okay.
And I'm all for it. I just wanted the financial, like, I think you gave it to us last year, and then it all made sense in my head of how it works. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we can have that by next month.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
No, just so I can reiterate and be clear in my own head, what we're discussing is that next month, Rick is going to bring, or before next month's meeting, we're going to get a packet with the budget and budget requests for the Ned Fire and bring it up as a action item to vote on next month. Is that correct?
That's what we were looking for approval for, is to bring this back. Yeah, with the financials and a resolution to vote on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I mean, obviously, it'll have to go before the board of trustees, so it'll really be your recommendation to move it forward. And the amount the DDA is willing to commit to the position.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, I'm for it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that we certainly should take a look at it. I think it's been a good thing for the community but we should be sensitive to Ron's concerns as the treasurer as well. So
we're okay bringing it back, or do we need to do
Yes.
an unofficial nod of 4? I'm okay with it as a nod of 1, bringing it back next month as an action item and having all of that information so that we can make an informed decision. So is there anyone that's not for it, since there's only 5 of us in quorum today?
Okay, hearing none, let's move forward and we'll move it to next month. That's great. Okay, any other business that anybody has that we need to bring up?
I mean, this is Rhea. We do our little subcommittee reports, and as public art and on beautification, I just have a couple things to update everybody if we're at that point in the
Yeah,
meeting.
I think we're at that point. Other business. Let's go
All
ahead.
right, beautification. I received the delivery of the annual flowers from City Floral today. They're absolutely gorgeous. Many thanks to Hannah Macht. She's an area resident who works for City Floral and has designed the flower pots for us and has arranged for City Floral to sell to us wholesale, which usually they don't. They're going to be planted starting, I believe, tomorrow afternoon by Mike, who we hired, Mike Reichert, who also works at Wild Bear. I also purchased a bunch of perennials from Home Depot as well as from Harlequin Gardens wholesale to try to amend, not necessarily the flower pots, but some of our garden beds. So I'm kind of keeping those watered until they're ready to be planted. And finally, tomorrow we have our meeting with Carissa from the Public Art to start getting on the mural project. She had sent out a poll and found tomorrow evening is the best time for the Public Art Committee to meet. So we'll keep you posted in the July meeting, updates on that. And that's it for now.
That's great. And thanks for bringing that up. Is there any other subcommittee report that anybody would like to throw out there that can do it as fast as Rhea just did? And I'm joking about that part of it, but any other business? Okay, can I hear
Oh, sorry, stepping back in front. Make this real quick. Big Springs Parking, met with Nathan Skalak this morning again, and we're just waiting on some designs from Tebow regarding his proposed retaining wall before JVA can move forward with their final design, and have been in communication with Tebow's team, who's working through that and trying to put the feelers out for qualified contractors that they would have potentially do their project. So that's the update on Big Springs Parking.
Okay. Great, fast report. I appreciate that. Any other business?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I hear a second.
Second.
I second.
Third.
All right. In record time,
Woo!
7:01.
Thank you, everyone.
Officially,
Thank you.
thank you guys, and a great job. We'll see you soon.
Hey,
Okay.
Brent, thank you so much for all your years of service.
No problem. Thanks. It's been fun. We've got a lot of stuff going, and it's fun to see it kind of really come together. And we've got, like Ron said, we finally started to spend some money of late, and it's exciting to see there's some projects, and Nederland will be better for it. So I appreciate everything, and I'll still be around. I'll hear from Steve what's happening.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody's support, and have a good evening.
Good night.
Sorry we didn't go till 9
Done a great
o'clock.
job.
Good night,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.